Now, I wonder what foods you think glyphosate residue might appear in. Now, glyphosate is a herbicide. It's designed to kill all vegetation. So why would it appear as a residue in food anyway? Well, I've had a look back at some of the recent testing results to see where glyphosate is appearing. And it appears in wholemeal bread, in flour, in lentils, and in barley. Now, these products are treated with the herbicide at the end of their growing period. So just before harvest, if the crop has too much moisture, the foliage may be killed with glyphosate to help it dry out a bit before harvest. And it's this late application which results then in a residue at point of consumption. Also, you may have a look and see what weed killers you have at home if you've got any in the garden, and often those contain glyphosate. It's one of the most widely used herbicides all around the world. So why is it so widely used? Glyphosate has some unique properties, and it was launched to address some of the problems with other herbicides. So first of all, it doesn't leach into watercourses, so where it's sprayed, it tends to stay. It's safe to those applying it, and people who were talking about marketing the product at the time said it's even safe enough to drink. Not that I would recommend that. Now, due to genetic modification, it can be sprayed onto genetically modified plants and not harm the plant. That's perfectly safe to grow, but kills all the weeds around those plants. So there's genetically modified soybeans, maize, oilseed rape, and sugar beet. All have been modified with a gene to stop the glyphosate harming the plant, but still killing the weeds round about. So what is the problem? Well, due to the annual spraying of glyphosate year after year after year after year, some of the weeds around these crops have started to become resistant to glyphosate. And so you have populations of weeds which are not killed at all by the glyphosate and then cause yield reduction in the crop. The WHO, the World Health Organization, classed glyphosate as a probable carcinogen. But EFSA, in their assessment, disagreed and said it's unlikely to pose a carcinogenic hazard to humans. And the WHO seem to have agreed because they've now agreed a tolerable intake of glyphosate. The EU renewed the approval for glyphosate in 2017. It became a very political and divisive discussion to see whether it would be banned or would be renewed. And after many arguments, it was agreed to extend the renewal just for 5 years instead of the usual 10. They had certain conditions for that approval. So a surfactant that was included in the formulation of glyphosate called POE taloamine has been banned. They wanted the use of glyphosate in public spaces such as parks to be minimized and to look really carefully at the pre-harvest use of glyphosate, so like on the crops we talked about earlier. Also, some breakdown products, so when the glyphosate is sprayed, it breaks down into other compounds as it degrades, only appear when it's been sprayed onto genetically modified crops. And these crops are then in turn fed to animals, things like soya. So in 2019, the EU agreed to specifically test for glyphosate and the metabolites in their standard screening. They have a list of about 10 or 20 crops that they want tested by all EU countries every year, and each year that list changes. And they've now included glyphosate in the standard screen to be tested for against those 10 or 20 products. Now, EFSA have also completed a review of the maximum residue levels, and there are some proposed changes. The level will probably reduce round about 50% based on the current recommendations. There's no conclusions on these and there's no date being set, but please keep an eye out on the YouTube channel and I will keep you updated. I hope you found this useful. There's more information on the training that we provide on the website psi-advantage.com, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel.